It's the Friendly Fire Show, episode 168 for the start of March 2021. I am one of your hosts, Steve from Stevivor.
And I'm Ben from Stevivor. We're back.
We are. And
Yeah.
we had a lockdown. It ended. Is that the last thing we did? Time we talked? I can't remember anymore.
It was 2 weeks ago, which is a long time in these trying times.
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about skydiving. I went skydiving. I didn't get to go to the tennis.
Oh, that's right.
Our lockdown was 5 days. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was a big deal. How did your skydive go?
Good, I guess. I don't know. I'll show you later. I have a
make
video. Well, I'm not dead.
Spoilers. Okay.
Or maybe I'm a clone or something. And the skydiving place has really stepped up its game. It's like, this guy died. We need to replace his body so no one knows. No, it was good. It felt like it took like 10 seconds from jumping to landing. The video makes me look extremely fat because they had all these like things like super tight so I wouldn't die, and I'm hanging out of the harness, and it's quite disgusting.
You know what? You're one of the least fat guys I know, so I'm sure it's fine.
Well, I wrote down 80 kilograms for the form, and last time I weighed myself was like a year ago, and I was 75, and I'm like, oh, I'll round up. That should be right. And they get you on the scale, and I was like 80.4. So I'm like, oh, that's my COVID weight, I guess.
Oh, 0.4. Lucky you.
Well, 5.4 kilos of COVID weight. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It was really good. I'll show you the video later if you want, Ben. I don't know if I can show everybody, but if you know me, maybe I can sneak you a link. It's copyright held by the people, so I don't think I can just like slap it up on YouTube. But it was good. Anyway, who cares about that. You bought a house.
Yep, so that's extremely stressful. That's why I played no games the past 2 weeks. It is in a terrible condition right now. We've ripped up the carpet. There's no carpet. It's half painted. I've learned about floor joists. I didn't know about that last week, but I've nailed the floor back down because it was all squeaky. So I'm learning on the go.
Do I want to ask for more information about floor joints?
No, that's basically it. Apparently very common in 2-story houses. They just get squeaky under the carpet. You got to screw them back in. Not nail, screw. It's surprising amount of work having a house. Outrageous. Should have just bought a brand new house. But anyhow.
Well, we bought a brand new house 4 years ago, and there's squeaky bits I got to fix. I don't know how to do it. Maybe I will talk to you later. Maybe we should just scrap this podcast altogether and start a home improvement one.
Well, I'm not very good, but I am working on it. So,
well, you're better than me, and I refrain from going like it's Well, I didn't because I just did it, but
the only good news is I've moved house like 4 times in the past 4 years or so, 5 years.
Yeah,
and every time there's been an NBN problem. Like the port hasn't been on the wall, NBN won't install, some nonsense. The worst one took 5 months to sort out, no internet. This time I plugged in the box and it worked.
Nice. So, is it HFC?
No, it's fiber to the curb, which is slower than my HFC in my rental place, but we can spend $3,000 to upgrade to fiber. And as much as that would be ridiculous,
you definitely should eventually.
I'm going to do it.
The problem with HFC, and it's a problem that's plaguing Stevivor's Hamish, is that the components that fuel these stupid proprietary HFC modems are like box in demand to the point where like we don't have any replacement parts. So we don't have replacement modems. So if your HFC modem like dies, you basically don't have NBN until that problem is somehow rectified. So that sucks.
The problem a lot of people have is the previous tenant or owner or whatever just takes it with them, even though it clearly says do not remove from premises on it. People think, oh, I paid for NBN, this is mine. That happened to our house, but we have fiber to the curb, so they just sent us a new one. They've got loads of those. The white box, if you need the black one, HFC, you're in trouble.
You are stuffed. So I hope mine doesn't break. Now, with the week I've had and all the problems I've had, I've probably just like jinxed myself, but that's fine. It's a good thing that there's no new actual games coming out because somehow I'm still super duper busy with stuff. Probably at the end of this podcast for the listening crew, I'm just going to tack on an interview I had with John Satterley, who's the CEO of Fortress Melbourne, now that establishment is back up and running. So we had a chat yesterday that I can do stuff with. I just talked to other people today about a game I can't talk about yet until 2 weeks or so from now. and there's other stuff, but it's all like it's old games on new platforms is the easiest way to describe March, I would say, which means like we're not really playing anything overly new, which is kind of boring.
No, and that is a great segue into PlayStation's State of Play, the most recent thing we haven't discussed. Actually, in the last 2 weeks, quite a lot have happened. PlayStation have had an event and Nintendo's had two.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of news in either of them. So probably the biggest thing out of State of Play is Final Fantasy VII Intergrade is coming to PS5 on the 10th of June. And the PS4 version is on PlayStation Plus right now for free.
Yes. Old games, new platforms. Literally old games, very old games, slightly done nicer. New platform.
Yeah. So, but you do get a free upgrade if you bought the game. If you get it through PlayStation Plus, you don't. But I think that's fair enough. It's, you didn't buy it. You can't complain. You didn't get a free upgrade for something you didn't pay anything for.
But it still looks and runs really nicely anyway. So you're not really missing out on much.
It pushed the PS4 to its absolute limit. I didn't even play it on a Pro. I played it on the base, and it looked fantastic. And even look.
So I jinxed us. Not only did I break your internet, I then forgot to re-record. So I'm an idiot, but whatever. Final Fantasy VII. Let's like fly through some of this stuff. It is on PS5 in that intergrade format. If you've paid for it in the past or you buy it, obviously new. And the difference between that and I guess the PlayStation Plus version is you get an extra chapter with Yuffie, that one. The State of Play was pretty much old games that we'd heard about before with either release dates or like a deeper dive. One of the exceptions, I guess, is Sifu, which is a really cool looking action martial arts game with a really kind of stylized look, which looks really neat. But kind of on the whole, it wasn't a lot of new meaty stuff. And I guess the segue from that is talking about the Nintendo Direct, which happened, which was kind of the same thing. It's like things we kind of knew about, or there was new releases and new games kind of announced, but like that same trope of old game, new platform, in a kind of like spluttery celebration of Zelda's 35th. Ben, what did Nintendo decide to do?
Well, they didn't give us a very big, exciting announcement. There was no Zelda 3D All-Stars, which we still could get later in the year, like Mario. They went all out for Mario's 35th. Side note, I'm not sure why 35th anniversary is that special. Like I get 25, 40, 50, but they went mad for Mario. For Zelda, they're giving us Skyward Sword HD, which is the third HD remake of a Zelda game. Interestingly, because Nintendo's only done three HD remasters ever, and they're all Zelda games. So make of that what you will. And they've run out, unless they do Breath of the Wild Ultra HD. They've all come out 10 years after the original game. So we should have predicted this. Well, that's not true because the two other remakes of Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, which are not HD. So anyway, they came out within 10 years. So it's basically the least popular 3D Zelda game. It's got some quirky designs. There's some probably, at the time it's got some waggle too. So the dungeon design is a bit weird. You had to play with motion controls. You had to have a Wii Motion Plus, which I think it came with because you couldn't play with the standard Wii remote. Now, Nintendo have said the Joy-Cons are much more accurate than any Wii remote ever was. So you can now play it how we intended 10 years ago. Or if you really want to, you can play how you want to play, which is with no motion controls. That's how I'll be playing because when I got this in 2011, it took me like a year to finish because I just kept procrastinating and thinking, like it's such a chore to sit around waving, like it's so annoying. So now you get to use the right thumbstick to still angle the sword because all the puzzles are based on that. I think I'll get through it this time. And I'm looking forward to going back to it because I can't actually remember the game at all. That's all I remember. It got a bit of a mixed reception, people, when it was announced. But yeah, I can't remember why. Like
it was a lot about the motion controls because you had to take down bosses and like actually like do like it's that thing where like I just want to sit on a couch and hit a button. I don't want to be like Wii Sportsing it when I'm playing Zelda. And if buying the game isn't enough for you, you can also buy the game and then buy new Joy-Cons, which are like themed in Zelda style.
Yeah, but
Master Sword and Shield.
I'm not going to do that because there's going to be a Switch Pro soon. And actually, I bought the Hori ones, which are like the proper style, like the real human hand Joy-Cons. They're not wireless at all. They only work for handheld mode, but I've much preferred playing Switch with that because I can hold it properly. So they're small little Joy-Cons. Anyhow, I will play that. I'm excited to play it, but it's an old game. There were two new games of note. There were a few, but the two that kind of stood out from Nintendo first party is Splatoon 3. I don't think either of us have really got into Splatoon, so we probably can't deep dive into why we need a third one as opposed to just an expansion or DLC.
I could barely tell you why that we needed Splatoon 2 compared to Splatoon 1. Like they put in like a boss, a salmon rush mode, which is kind of like a horde mode, but
I
like
can tell you why.
that was DLC.
Because Splatoon 1 was on Wii, and they thought, let's just get some sales on Switch with a whole new start. And that was probably a wise move. I didn't expect them to go Splatoon 3. I thought it was going to be like Mario Kart, one a generation. We'd get a Splatoon 3 on the Switch too. But anyhow, the other one was Mario Golf Super Rush, I think.
Yeah.
Weirdly, there was no Mario Golf game on Wii, which still astonishes me. The last one was on GameCube for a console. There's been a few handheld ones. So I can see why they're doing this now. It's been a long time. It'll work well with the Joy-Con. I'm not going to play it with that. I'm not a golf fan, but I do like arcadey golf games. Like we played a lot of Power Star Golf at the launch of the Xbox One.
Yes.
Probably the last golf game I played. So I might give this a spin.
Well, yeah, we have Power Star Golf. We have like proper golf games. I kind of wish that we would have gotten like a Mario Strikers instead. And I'm not like a huge football fan or anything like that. I just like Mario Strikers.
Same type of thing. It's like an arcadey version. That's the Mario Sport games do well for a reason. They're fun to play.
Yes. So that was like, again, like Sony's, it was stuff that was kind of neat, but like you almost questioned why we were there for the majority of the direct. The Pokemon Direct, which followed that, was a little bit more meaty in terms of new things, but again, like old games on new platforms for sure. And tied in because it's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, they had a Post Malone virtual concert, which will like feed into an album, which will have Post Malone and Katy Perry and someone else. And they're announcing new artists and having extra concerts for the rest of this year in celebration of Pokemon. They're remaking Diamond and Pearl, which are on DS, and Ben, that's like literally all I know about those games.
Well, so these were the games when I thought I was too old for Pokemon, but I had one friend in high school. We would have been like 16, I think, and we both got one of them each, so we could trade between it on DS and sneakily doing it after school because it was like, this is uncool. But it was the time when I realized I'm just going to do what I want to do that I enjoy. So that's why I played Pokemon Diamond, I think. I think I still got it somewhere. So yeah, I'll play this again. It's from that, probably after that actually is when I lost touch. I was old enough to go to a pub, so I didn't play Black and White. But then I came back with like Sun and Moon when I was old enough to not want to go to the pub anymore. So, or I didn't have enough money. Something happened. I think it looks very DS-y still. Like it's a remake in the sense that it's a little more switchy. It kind of looks like Link's Awakening on Switch. Like they've kept it because they need to play in that kind of 2D top-down view. It still looks kind of not cheap, but it looks, they've kept it a little bit outdated on purpose, I think. And it's probably a quick game to make. That's why they're coming out this year. It's easy to do, and it's the 25th anniversary.
Little effort as possible, I think, is the key there.
They will sell 20 million, so it doesn't matter. There was another game announced, which was 22, another direct, which was all about the games coming this year. We should mention they did show Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap, which is another Blast from the Past kind of remake. It's basically a remake. Now, explain to me what you thought was happening in the 2022 game.
Someone made I didn't see a whole bunch of it either because I was trying to write about it, and then I just
they didn't show very much.
Pokemon. Someone made a joke like it looks like they've taken Zelda and made it like more like Pokemon, and taken Pokemon and made it more like Zelda. So I don't know, like open worldy, lots of Japanese costumes, old things, wooden Pokeballs. Open world was the buzzword, but I don't know. Like you look at people running around on the old Pokemon maps, and you could just think that they were open world too. Like I don't know, you're just moving in an environment. Did I answer your question, or did I kind of just talk around it? I have no idea.
So they didn't show us much. So they just kind of teased Pokemon Legends with a small little gameplay clip, and they kind of said this is set in the past in the same region as Diamond and Pearl, probably because it's easier to develop like that. And they kind of showed like, but even though this is in old timey times, you still use a Pokeball. and you're doing the first ever Pokedex for this region, this it hints towards what people have wanted the whole time. Like back in the Game Boy days, people said, imagine if there was a console Pokemon game that was open world and you could do whatever you want. And then they came to console with Switch, and it's still the handheld formula because that's what works. So they're hinting that they've made it clear this is not in the main series in case it flops. And there are loads of Pokemon spin-off games, so it is just another one of those at the moment. But they're trying different things. I think don't get your hopes too high because it's got that kind of that Japanese open world game where there's a lot of games like Dragon Ball Kakarot was like this, where it's open world-ish, but you hit a lot of invisible walls and it just feels a little bit clunky because it's just not what that kind of development culture it nails to the same extent as like a European developer, where it's kind of like we spent years making this world and then it's full of glitches. The Japanese developers seem to be more limited, but the game works properly. Different mindsets. So yeah, be interesting to see how it works.
It's kind of cool to have a bit of a change up to the formula. So
absolutely. That's basically it. But Nintendo did give us a lot more for Pokemon's 25th anniversary. So I'm hoping there's something for Zelda's 35th coming later in the year, because maybe now they wanted to focus on Pokemon and later in the year they'll say, we remembered about Zelda 2.
Maybe. I wouldn't hold your breath, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Maybe.
So that's all from the live streamy things. We had some news out of Xbox, which is kind of neat. It's FPS boost. It's all backward compatible focused. I think we've been talking about this or dancing around it in the past. A lot of old games obviously take advantage of the new current gen hardware, but if they have things like a capped frame rate, they won't have a better increased frame rate. They'll just be locked at 30 or whatever the developer set. So Microsoft's trying to help select titles, and it's not going to be across the board, correct that and up their frame rate to something that the Xbox Series S or X is capable of. There's 5 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that can do it. Far Cry 4, new Super Lucky's Tale, Sniper Elite 4, UFC 4, and Watch Dogs 2. Most of those go up to a 60 frames per second boost. I think new Super Lucky's Tale can get to 120 if you have a compliant monitor or TV. So that's kind of cool. What do you think about that, Ben?
Good feature. The one that matters is going from that 30 to a locked 60. If that can happen, that's great. I would love to see it in a game that I haven't played and I want to play, because out of this list, I've played 4 of them. I have no interest in UFC. So yeah, I'm not going to go back and play Watch Dogs 2 again. So yeah, I haven't tried it, and I probably won't until they add a few more games.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Throw it away.
It's neat, but there's games that I want to play. I'm complaining there's not any new games, but I've still I haven't finished Hitman or Hitman 2 or Hitman 3, so I'd rather play those over games that have an FPS boost. How much do you know about what's going on with Hogwarts Legacy?
I know every single thing you wrote in the news article. That's all I know.
Well then.
Do you want to give me some backstory?
Well, it's a Harry Potter RPG. It was announced last year at some point, and it was pretty much announced around the same time that J.K. Rowling went on social media and just decided she hated transgender people. So there was a lot of backlash from people saying, well, I like Harry Potter, but I'm not keen on what she's saying right now, which prompted a statement from Warner Brothers saying that she wasn't directly involved with the game. And that kind of died down.
Paid her a lot of money. That's it.
Yeah, we've used your license. Thanks very much. Sometime last month, it was discovered that the lead designer on the game at Avalanche Studios, I forget his name, launched a YouTube channel a couple years back with just anti-social justice warriors, attacking feminism, defending men in companies accused of sexual harassment and toxic workplaces, and just he doesn't seem like a decent person, I guess is the best way to summarize him. So there's been a lot kind of going around the game, and recently there was a Bloomberg report that you can create basically a transgender wizard, which kind of spits in the face of J.K. Rowling, which I think is hilarious. So you can pick a body type, and you can pick a voice either masculine or feminine that doesn't necessarily have to match a traditional body type. And then you can go a step further from that and select either wizard or witch to go with whatever you've selected. So it's not like transgender per se, but you can basically create a transgender character in your own mind because you have the flexibility, which kind of is against what happened in like Phoenix Rising, where you could pick like a female presenting person, but as soon as you picked like a male sounding voice or a female sounding voice, it like locked you into a gender that way. So it's a little bit more flexible from the sound of it. And it's basically just like, haha, in your face, JK Rowling. I don't know if there's much more to say. If you have any thoughts on it, that's the news.
It'd be something you would expect in the world of Harry Potter, because this is a world where people can turn into a wolf or a rat or whatever. So like, no one's locked into their body type or even their creature. So it's all mythological, like, it's a fantasy world. Good on them for making a point of it, though, basically not in protest of JK Rowling, but just to kind of say that they're not aligned with her beliefs.
She won't be happy with it, and that's just as good. So perfect. We had a surprise video game announcement today, Ben, as the day of recording. Do you want to get into it? It's neat looking.
You can. I believe you're talking about Aliens Fireteam, which is a new 3-player PvE survival shooter. Now, yes. I'm excited about the PvE because we have so many 3-player. 3 is the buzz number at the moment in terms of all these Apex Legends style games. So a pure co-op that you can play with your mates against the environment is actually very interesting to me because it's different.
Yes. And you can go offline and play just with like AI people, but it doesn't sound like it's like asynchronous. Like no one has to play as the alien against the Marines. You're playing as Colonial Marines, and you're up against xenomorphs and like Wayland Yutani. There's 5. I don't know if that's right. There's a number of scenarios that you can play, and there's like things like challenge cards which you can drop in to change how the scenario plays. It's by Cold Iron, who I don't think have done anything. They're formed out of a whole bunch of other studios.
No, that's good.
But it looks, the screenshots look cool. The trailer looks cool. It's coming this year, like mid this year. So we won't have long to wait to see if it sucks.
Developers, or at least publishers, are not wanting to announce games until they're certain that this is coming out and we can get this done. Now, I did get a feel of Evolve from this, which was a game that was fantastic to play if you happen to have the people you're playing with right next to you, which is how no one played that game, and it's why it failed. So it got great media previews because that's how we played it. And then when it came out in the real world, the idiots you played with online just were not fun at all. So hard to avoid, and I guess that's where the AI option comes in. You can play with yourself, basically. But that's almost my worry with these games. Are they going to be good if you only have 2 people, or you only have yourself, or you have total randoms playing with you? Wait and see.
Yeah, well, hopefully the AI is smart and you can at least leverage them if you need to. But who knows? It's probably me being too hopeful of said AI system. But whatever. What else? Other news: Need for Speed is delayed. Because Criterion, who work on Need for Speed, are going to help DICE work on Battlefield, which is supposed to come out this year, and we know nothing about it. So that seems problematic to me.
I think this is another case of they haven't shown it because they don't know what they're going to get to by the end of the year, which is why they've done this. They've obviously realized that in the current situation, the normal practices of DICE staff going in and working 100-hour weeks is not going to work. They need extra studio support, and they've picked Battlefield is the big moneymaker for EA this year. I'm looking forward to a Battlefield. It's been enough time without a new one, that it should be pretty good. So, I'm a little bit worried that we don't know anything. There would normally be the big press trips have already happened by now, or they would be happening very soon. Obviously, they won't happen now. They would just be live stream or something. It's a little concerning, but on the other hand, maybe they've realized that to get this done, we need support. So we're going to focus on one big game rather than our usual 4, and their sport games will come out as well, of course. So it could be a promising way. Maybe they just decided we don't want to crunch these developers in their own home, or maybe they've realized they can't make them do it at home because eventually their partners are going to bring them dinner. and just be like, here you go, stop working. So
be done.
yeah.
Yeah, or bandwidth, or there's like a million reasons why. I am optimistic. It sounds like it'll be a good move, and it sounds like EA is being a little bit more friendly to developers, so they're not stressing out like you were saying. Have you had a chance to do a lot of the Xbox Game Pass streaming to your Android device? It's technically not that in Australia. It's just the xCloud preview program or whatever it's
That's
called.
what we're in. I played a little bit, not as much as I'd hoped to have played by now. There's a small selection of games available through xCloud, and you can also stream from your console any game. So they're two separate things. As we keep pointing out, Xbox has done a bad job of making those clearly different. They are different things. But yeah, there's your Forza Horizon 4, your Halo Master Chief Collection, for some reason Cricket 19. These games are on Android. It works pretty well. So I'm playing with the Kishi Razer controller, which is basically turns your phone into a Switch. I think a bit easier than the clip that we used at E3 with your phone above the normal controller. It's just a bit awkward to play like that.
That's what I still use.
Yeah, so I think it works pretty well. So at the moment, it streams in 720p, which is fine for your phone. Like, you're not going to notice the difference between 720 and 1080 on such a small screen. The reason I think they're trialing 1080 for xCloud at the moment is because eventually they want to bring this to PC and directly to smart TVs. So a 720 stream is not going to cut it. A 4K stream is not going to work. So if they can get a stable 1080 stream, whether that works in Australia is probably going to depend if you got fiber to the premises or any of the others. But yeah, like, it'll let you toggle, no doubt, when they get to that stage. We talked about xCloud and Game Pass so much, but we haven't really used it because of where we are. So we just need to wait and see how it works.
Well, hopefully it's neat. Hopefully it's cool. Hopefully it works. And if, other people have to try something and we get the benefits of it because we had to wait, I guess, like, that's a benefit to having to wait. Not that it's fun to wait, but you know what I mean.
They don't want to bomb. Like, Stadia is already done. There's so many other attempted streams that Xbox taking this super slow is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Well, and Stadia's just, like, killed all their dev teams and stuff. So Stadia's spiraling down to exactly. This weekend delays. I'm sure it's not going to be the last one this month or this year. Destiny 2's Witch Queen expansion was delayed into 2022. They're going to do another chapter and an expansion plan for this year, and I forget what it's called. Lightbringer? No, not that. Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. What else is canceled, Ben?
E3 2021 is not happening. So we had grand plans to go last year. We knew we weren't going to go this year, but now we've confirmed that. So maybe 22 will be our E3 swan song, delayed 2 years. Who knows?
It was nice just having that little bit of hope that we were still going to go, Ben. Like, I know it's not a chance, but it was kind of nice just being like, maybe everything somehow happens. Okay, that's not true. Australia is definitely going to be okay by then, but I wouldn't think that the States or LA specifically is going to be okay.
Well, they could do an E3 here or New Zealand. They're pretty good. We could all go to New Zealand for E3, just Australia. That'd be good. They've got Gabe Newell's there. He can do something. Phil Spencer can
Half-Life 3
come in
confirmed.
on a screen. Yeah, there we go. No surprise. Apparently, they're thinking about doing a digital event. That's not really going to work. I don't think. It'll be interesting to see if E3 comes back from this. It was already struggling to kind of know what it was. Is it trying to be that big media trade show? Is it trying to be open to the public? What's it trying to do? A lot of publishers have done. One or two things. It either won't come back, or it'll come back. It will be a bit more sure of what it wants to be, and it will get that publisher support. It'll go beg PlayStation and EA and whoever else left to come back for an attempt to reboot, basically. So the time off might not be that bad. It's kind of like they've had some time off. If they're going to come back, it needs to be worked out in a new format and something that's going to be successful.
Yeah. And I think it's just that thing of, like, all the publishers know they can do it themselves. So why? And, like, Activision, Sony, EA have already basically pulled out. And, like, I think Phil Spencer's like, oh, we're going to support the ESA. We're going to support this. But, like, why? Like, there's got to be something better that can be
Yeah,
done.
well,
I don't know
if
what that
there,
is, but that's not my job. I don't care.
if there's no more E3, it means you'll never get the chance to stay at the Hotel Cecil ever again because you stayed there. I had forgotten about this
Please,
until
please
it
don't
came
remind me.
back. Came back on Netflix in this documentary, and you were there that year.
It was gross. It it was gross. That documentary is bullshit though. It's just like people on YouTube like talking about their weird conspiracy theories very quickly into it. But that hotel was disgusting. And that was my first E3. And we stayed there because we didn't know any better. And then I tell you what, I never went anywhere near that place because it is actually terrifying. There's terrifying in so many ways. I'm sure I've told the story where I was walking back to that hotel and I was following this gigantic dude who was like almost naked, swinging a bat, singing a song about going to get crack. Like it was not a great place to be. So I am very sorry for that poor Canadian backpacker who ended up in the water tank. But I'm grossed out at the thought of her being in the water tank. So that's
I think
that.
that's a great place to leave it. The real Cecil Hotel, you heard it right there. Not what you've heard on Netflix.
Gross. Yeah.
That's it.
Anyway, Ben, how do we follow you and see things that you do and etc.?
I am Ben_Salter on Twitter, and yourself.
I am. What am I? Wright AU on
Hmm.
social medias. I'm not on that new one. What's it called? Broadcast or whatever.
No, I'm
I
just
don't
on
even know what it
Twitter,
is.
so
I'm too old to know what these things are
that's it.
anymore.
Yeah.
Don't even care. All right. Well, follow us there. Go to the website. Hopefully, I can fix whatever I broke so it's not running like a turtle stuck in molasses. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Have a
And
good night, Ben.
we'll see you next time.